Wow. Well, it took me about 24 hours to really absorb where the United States Senate voted on SESTA yesterday. What my opinion is on where we're going. Um, Health said we're going backward in the United States um, when it comes to freedom of speech. Um, Not only does SESTA, as everybody wants to think about, human trafficking and oh my God, and everybody's trying to play Captain Save-A-Ho. You're not going to save any little girl being pimped by somebody who will bring her into the game of the sex industry. If anything, you're going to make it harder to find those guys that vulture attack little vulnerable girls. Um, Outside the fact that, again, sex work is real work and human rights issues, it affects everybody. And how you want to ask me why that is because once we start to lose our one freedom of speech, and the attack is real, when the guy sitting in the White House is attacking the press and not letting you have your own opinion on subject matter and making you feel like you don't trust anybody who writes anything or who goes on news, that's an attack on our Constitution, freedom of speech. We seem to be in this country, we're worried more about our amendment right to have a gun than we are about worried about where our speech is. The SESTA Act, which now affects on the internet and what you are a grown-ass adult and you can advertise services on the internet or you are promoting a certain thing like porn, because trust me, that's going to get attacked. Um, as long as it's two consenting adults who's agreeing upon a financial or any other type of means, um, we've been fighting that fight for a long time. Pornography. If you're a grown-ass adult, you can make up your own mind. It's like cigarettes. It's like alcohol. It's like marijuana. Um, the government is supposed to stay out of your daily life. And unfortunately, in 2018, you have people making decisions on Capitol Hill that are hypocrites in the first place. You have people who are sitting in the pulpit on Sunday preaching something and they're molesting your children on Monday. Um, those are the battles we should be working on, not what two consenting adults are doing or what we as porn actors are doing on film and access to the internet. Parents need to start parenting. If you're worried about your children and what they're doing, half of y'all aren't even home with them. Um, you're so busy with your careers or you're so busy with other things that you're not spending time with your kids. Um, that's probably the best thing I can say is raising my kids. Um, Both of my boys played hockey. My daughter was a figure skater. We were in the car all the time going somewhere. We were in the car. You actually, your kids and you are listening to the same music and having a great conversation. My kids were like, they were still my kids. Trust me, I can parent like no other. But we had a close relationship and still do. That um, those are the foundations that you need to concern yourself with so that your children make adult decisions later in life. Now we're dealing with SESTA because you're worried about somebody making a decision on Capitol Hill that affects your daily life. When you wake up one morning and you go to open up your computer and you can't see some of your newscasts because maybe that the guy on Pennsylvania Avenue has gave you so much mistrust on what's real news, what's fake news, or whatever. When we start siphoning down and trying to figure out what websites you can and cannot see, That's your fundamental right, but it also keeps you in the dark. We're going to go back to the Dark Ages, where again, the freedom of the press. That was our number one constitutional right. That was the things that our forefathers came here and fought for. It wasn't just about taxation. Um, I would think that, hopefully this will wind up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully the Supreme Court will overrule it. But my concern is that they use the poor guy in New York with the rentboys.com and his 6-month sentence and his fine as a president to work on this SESTA bill and FESTA anyway, promoting prostitution and whatever. They're going to wrap that around and use that as their catalyst. But at the end of the day, your fundamental right of being able to open up the computer and have any information that you choose to look for. The problems have already become that if you're Googling something, certain stuff that used to be visible years ago, you can't find in Google now. You have to really get specific when you're talking about pornography. And when you're looking for certain things, you have to know what exact words, and you have to keep playing with it versus what it used to be before. I get that we don't want, and I'm a grandmother now. I raised 3 kids. But the internet was there when my kids were there. I knew what my kids were looking at on the internet. I knew what they had when they first got their cell phones. Parents just want to buy them gadgets and then be mad later because their kids are watching porn. Maybe if you should teach your children more about sex. Again, I have an issue with the way that our country operates, that again, if a woman has an abortion, that's none of your business, it's just her business. Your morality doesn't necessarily should reflect on my morality, and vice versa. I'm not impinging my thought process on you. I'm not telling you that, just because I don't believe in monogamy, maybe it works for you, but most people who want to have relationships outside their marriage lie. And again, I've worked in brothels. I've been somebody's wedding gift. That's amazing to me. I've been birthday gifts. I've been anniversary gifts. That is absolutely the most amazing feeling, to be able to share somebody's wedding night with the couple. That's progressive thinking, and I know that that's not for everybody. But for those of us who again, if I have a boyfriend and I do a threesome with somebody, there's rules in place, of course, but I don't believe, and I don't think that, Susie next door, maybe that's not her thing. I'm not impinging my thought process on her. What works for her life doesn't work for me, and vice versa. But our country seems to have gone down this road of being 1950s again. And when we become progressive in some stuff and then basic human rights issues, we went backwards again. Our rights on transgenders, our rights on gay rights. I ask that everybody who is concerned about your human rights, as far as it goes with the SESTA bill, follow SWAP USA. In your local area, Sex Workers Project is all over. SWAP Los Angeles, SWAP Chicago, SWAP Baltimore. I ask that you guys pay attention, because they've been diligently fighting for our freedoms. Although it's sex work, it impinges on you as well as a free society of what rights you're going to lose come January 1st, 2019. Fight the good fight, because again, the fundamental foundation of our country was based upon being a free society, and writing a new law in 2018 to tell you that you can't see or view a certain idea on the internet is imposing on all those freedoms. And so again, with the Sex Workers Project, that's SWAP, Los Angeles, DC, USA, Europe. Um, we're trying to protect the men and women in the adult industry and the sex workers across the world. And I ask, as a porn performer and a sex worker myself, I ask that, I don't ask you to live my life. I just ask you to live your life. But fight for your freedoms. Fight for the fact that your freedoms are being impinged upon. The daily barrage of attacks on our um, freedom of press, that should be a problem for most of us. We should really understand that without knowledge, nothing is possible. And I'm always a long believer in is that sometimes, unfortunately, I think that our systems, and this goes farther back into earlier societies, even long before the United States was ever even thought of, was the fact that some societies tried to keep the army of people in the dark. I believe that whole, with all my heart, basically, is that I'm going to tell you is I really feel like societies were built about the wealthy people and the poor people. And the army of people of poor or moderately income were the workforce. We're no different than the slaves that built the pyramids for the wealthy. That they want to keep us in the dark. They want to keep us fighting amongst ourselves. Because the masses will not overturn the governments if that's the case. So that's the reason why we're fighting amongst ourselves over color, over race, over religion, over sex, over gender. Why should it matter to you if somebody decides to transgender from one sex to another? It's none of your business. How I fuck and how my neighbor fucks is none of your business. How much money I make is none of your business. What church you go to, or whether you don't go to church, is none of your business. I'm not sure why or how this all began, but when you start to worry about running your own race, truly, because we all say it all the time, everybody says it on social media, oh, stay in your own lane and mind your own business. Well, I wish that was really true. I really wish that was really true, but it's not. Everybody judges us all day long. I'm a porn star. For 50-50, I get half the people who hit my DM want to be my husband. The other half might even want to tell me, oh oh, poor Summer, I would love to help you. I would love to be your husband and make you quit working. Dude, I like what I do. I'm not trying to quit my job. I like my job. That's why I came back out of retirement. I have probably saved more marriages than I have probably ever wrecked. I think in 15, 16, 17 years, I've only had 2 women ever call me on my phone who oh, I'm going to kick your ass. Bitch, you don't even know who I am. It might be the worst decision you ever make. But in general, the emails, the countless couples that I have met over the years, I'll go with the latter. I think I've saved more marriages and relationships than anything. And so your opinion of sex work might not be the same as mine, but your perception of your freedoms, of what you want to open up on the internet and what you want to be able to read in magazines, whatever's left, that should be upon you as an adult. And nobody else should tell you what you are not capable of, because basically that's what they're telling you. You are not capable of making a decision for yourself. So a bunch of men and women on Capitol Hill just made it for you. And how ironic. Somebody who is a prolific liar, a scumbag, is going to sign the bill. How about irony? So again, contact SWAP, follow SWAP on Twitter. Pay attention because they're going to help fight for your rights. Follow the Freedom Speech Coalition. They're fighting for your rights. This isn't just about the sex industry. This isn't just about the porn industry. This is about your basic constitutional, fundamental freedom of speech rights. And I wish I could say namaste. But today is like a backwards day in America. We are literally going back to the Stone Age. Food for thought.